Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our presentation today to go over UCEAP scholarships to support study abroad. My name is Bryn Lemon. I'm the Assistant Director of Alumni Engagement and Scholarships for our system-wide office for UCEAP. So we cover scholarships for the whole UC system. I have been working in this role for 5.5, going on 6 years now. I love what I do. I'm also an alumna of our program, so I studied abroad at the University of Edinburgh for a year during my junior year at UCSB. And following my graduation, I actually moved back to Scotland and then down to Chile before winding up back in our office here. So I'm really passionate about international study, and I can't wait to talk to you about how to make that possible for you today. And I'll have my colleague Elizabeth go ahead and introduce herself now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Holtz, and I am the Scholarship and Alumni Engagement Coordinator for UCEAP. I've been in this role for about a little more than a year and a half now, and I am also an alumna of our program. So I studied abroad in London, England, as well as Córdoba, Spain, and as a senior. I also ended up returning back to study abroad, to go abroad for my master's degree. So as Bryn mentioned, we're both very passionate about international education and are so happy that you all joined us today.
Fantastic. So the primary focus of our webinar will be on fall and year-long scholarships. If you are thinking about attending a program in the future for spring or summer, this is still really relevant information for you, but if you have any follow-up questions, just feel free to pop them into email. But we'll go ahead and get started with an overview now of our scholarships. So what UCEAP scholarships are available? Fun fact in this presentation are from previous recipients. So we are going to talk today about our UCEAP Global Scholarship. This is the overarching award that you will apply to in order to get your application into the system. These awards are our kind of baseline awards, and we'll go over a little bit more detail about what they entail per term in a little bit. We also offer named awards. So these are particular scholarships in honor of specific donors or with particular criteria. And they will not be offered in tandem with your global scholarship, but you will be considered for them once you have applied if you are applicable. Our additional scholarships here, so we have our UCEAP Social Media Scholarship, our Videography Scholarship in memory of Albert G. Manassians, our University of Sydney Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Scholarship, as well as some year-long awards. So this is our Dutton Haver Scholarship, our Chris Borton Memorial Scholarship. And once you return from your program abroad, we do have internship awards and undergraduate research awards if you have participated in research or an internship while abroad. Out of curiosity, before we move forward, I saw a lot of people in the chat interested in fall, but I didn't see anyone who was interested in year-long. If you are, please go ahead and type into the chat just so that we know how much to focus on that particular component of the webinar. And Elizabeth, feel free to move forward. Awesome.
So now we're going to focus on how do I apply for UCEAP scholarships. So the UCEAP Global Scholarship is the main scholarship we offer, and we want to encourage everyone to apply for this scholarship. That is a $2,000 scholarship for quarter, semester, or year-long programs. In order to apply for the UCEAP Global Scholarship, you access the scholarship application portal through the link on the UCEAP website. It's also on this slide. And the application requires that you create an account, indicate your interest in UCEAP scholarships, complete a form, and then a statement of purpose responses. If you've looked at our application before, you may have noticed that our statement of purpose was an essay. We've specifically changed the format of that to be question and answer responses based on feedback from some of our campuses and students. And on this slide here, we have some of the named awards that Bryn mentioned in that introductory slide. These slides are scholarships that are specifically available because of a donor. So they're donor-specific scholarships. For example, the Olivia Chan Ship Scholarship that is listed on this slide is a $2,500 scholarship. It is offered in fall and spring, and it is for a student studying abroad in Italy who meets the ideal set by Olivia. You'll notice there's a little description on each of these scholarships. We won't read through them all for the purpose of time in this presentation. However, these are specific scholarships that usually have a specific either program or a focus of your UCEAP program So please make sure to read through those and see if you are eligible for any of those. If you are, you submit an application for the UCEAP Global Scholarship, and your application will automatically be forwarded internally based on the award qualifications. So these awards are not applied to awards, they are internally selected awards, unlike the Global Scholarship, which is an applied to award. So again, if you submit an application for the UCEAP Global Scholarship and you're eligible for these scholarships listed on the slide, your application will automatically be considered internally. Bryn, is there anything you wanted to add?
The final point is that once your application is considered, you will only be contacted about this award if you receive it. So let's say you are studying abroad in Italy, you are contacted regarding your global scholarship, whether you received one or not, you will be told, but we won't notify everyone who is going to Italy that they did not receive an Olivier Chanship Award, for example. Only the student who is receiving that award will receive outreach on it. So if you don't have a follow-up about the this particular named award, just assume we'll move forward with the global or other scholarship applications.
And we have a question here in the chat that says, so we only need to technically do one application for one scholarship. For these named awards and the global scholarship, yes, you technically only need to submit a global scholarship application. And if you are eligible for these awards, you will automatically be considered. We do have some additional awards that we'll discuss later in the presentation, but for the scholarships that you see on this slide here, if you submit a global application and you're eligible, you will be considered for these awards.
Okay, what other scholarships does UCEAP offers? This is a great segue into our next conversation here. So additional scholarships that do require their own application. So Ariel, these are awards that if you do want to apply to them, you will not automatically be considered with your global scholarship application. These include the UCEAP Social Media Scholarship, which is a $500 award. We offer about 4 of them per term in the semesters and 2 over the summer. And this is for students who are interested in media, content creation, videography, things of that nature that want to share their experience abroad with future students. So you'll work in tandem with our marketing team to produce content, and it's a really fun way to help support your study abroad. The UCEAP Videography Scholarship in memory of Albert G. Manassians is a donor-funded scholarship in honor of our donor's uncle, who was a passionate news reporter during his lifetime. And so this is for students who are interested in videography and documenting their experience abroad to share with future students. Finally, we have our University of Sydney Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Scholarship, which includes a housing waiver for the full term that you are there. So this will be offered for fall. If you are going to go abroad to the University of Sydney, you will not need to pay for your housing if you receive this scholarship. So that will cover the cost of your residency. It is tied to a specific dorm. And so if you are interested in that, I recommend going to our website and learning more details about that award.
So now we're going to pivot to our year-long scholarships for the individual who is interested in studying abroad on a year-long program. And we will say that we do encourage everyone to consider studying abroad on a year-long program if you have the flexibility to do so, say with your schedule and things like that. Because we do offer quite a bit of funding for year-long study abroad, and several programs can be very affordable comparatively to just studying for a single term. Also, Bryn can absolutely speak to the fact that a semester is a very short time, and being in a year just allows you to immerse yourself in a culture so much more. So if you have the flexibility, we just encourage you to consider it. So for the year-long scholarships that we offer, we have over 30 Dutton-Haver scholarships of $5,000 for a year-long study. So again, that is more than 30 Dutton-Haver scholarships of $5,000 for year-long study. We also offer 8 Chris Borton Memorial scholarships of $8,000 for year-long study. An important note is that you cannot receive both of these year-long awards if you are studying abroad for the year and apply for. You can apply to both of them, but you will not be awarded both of them. You would only be awarded one if you are awarded one. So we do encourage everyone to apply for both of the scholarships because, again, you can apply for both, so why not apply for both? Also, as you'll see here, the Chris Borton Memorial Scholarship is a higher value, so we understand that, we of course understand that students want the higher value scholarship. However, we have many more of the Dutton-Haber scholarships to give out. So again, we encourage you to apply for both. And the application requirements for both of these scholarships include an online form, a statement of purpose, a recommended letter of recommendation, a statement of academic preparation, and a statement of financial need. And these are applied to opportunities, so you would have to submit applications for both of these. Bryn, is there anything you want to add?
Shelby's raised her hand. Shelby, if you'd like to, you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask a question, or it could have been an accident because it's disappeared
Oh,
now.
no,
If you,
I appreciate
yes,
that. Thank you. I was wondering if, so I'm a student who's applied for and gotten into a year-long program for Spain. And but I've been kind of planning on when the Chile application comes out to apply for time in Spain in Chile for the second semester. So I am planning on doing a year abroad, but I'm not sure if it's going to be in the same place. Like my plan is to not have it in the same place. Is how can I navigate these year-long scholarships? Would that be I guess what would that um you know make me ineligible for certain year-long stuff, or how could I navigate that?
good question, Shelby. Thanks for asking it. So the intention behind these scholarships is immersion, right? So Linda Dutton-Haver, the donor of our Dutton-Haver scholarships, she is focused on students receiving a really immersive cultural experience for a full year. Typically, that has meant 1 year in the same country. Shelby, I think regarding the Dutton-Haver scholarship, you could apply and Linda could consider your application because you are studying in two countries focused on the same language. So if you are planning to study Spanish in both countries, and that is the central element of your application, I think you said Barcelona was the first one. So if that is the focus of your application, then you can make that known in your statement. However, you must be admitted to both programs. So we have to know that you are actually going to go in the spring. If you end up dropping out, your scholarship will be rescinded because it has to be for the full year. So if you end up just going for the semester, that won't qualify. So you're welcome to apply, but I can't guarantee that you will be selected for that award. And in terms of the Chris Borton Memorial Scholarship, it is only students studying for the same program throughout the whole year. So just if you have further questions, you can go ahead and pop us an email, and we're happy to discuss it with you offline. But it's a good question. So the intention
Thank
behind these scholarships is the same program. Okay. Excellent. So let's discuss eligibility. So what eligibility requirements are necessary for UCEAP scholarships? So we do not have any citizenship, residency, or other eligibility requirements. So if you are a UC student full-time enrolled at your university and you're planning to study abroad with UCEAP, you qualify for our awards. Plain and simple. If you have any further questions about this, do feel free to pop it into the chat.
So now we're going to move on to what are the application deadlines for UCEAP scholarships. And here we have the application deadlines listed. An important thing to note for all of our application deadlines is they are due by 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time of the day of the due date that is listed here. And we encourage you to start your applications early because every term there are always individuals, unfortunately, who maybe forget their password or encounter technical issues. And unfortunately, we cannot make any exceptions for that. So please do start your applications early. So on this slide, you'll notice for fall and year-long applications, the application is already open. It opened as of January 15th, and it will close on March 15th, and again by 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Our spring applications will open later this year in August and close in September of this year. And our summer scholarship applications actually just closed on February 15th. And those were also open since January 15th. So if you are interested in applying for a fall or year-long UCEAP scholarship, please be sure to submit your application by March 15th by 11:59 p.m. Pacific time.
We had a couple questions in the chat, which include, do you need to have your passport in order to apply? Not for scholarships, but you will need your passport in order to go abroad. So definitely get on that process as soon as possible, but we don't require documentation to apply for scholarships. And Jess asked if the applications are reviewed on a rolling or first come, first serve basis. We review all applications at once. So we wait until the cycle is closed. Then we have a holding period in which we organize the applications, and then they are reviewed for 2 weeks, all at the same time. So they are not on a first come, first serve basis. Of course. So our next question is, what requirements are there for accepting a UCEAP scholarship? So let's say you are awarded a scholarship. How do you go about attaining this award? So all funding will be applied against the balance owed to UCEAP on your financial account. And this only happens once you submit a thank you letter to the donor of your award and upload a photo of yourself for the donor. It can just be a headshot. It can be a lovely picture like the one on the right here. This just helps connect the donor to the student receiving the award. After you return from your program, you will be required to submit a 2-page report about your time abroad with a minimum of 3 photos showing your experience. So we do want to hear from you how your study abroad program impacted you. There will be a prompt and we will remind you to submit that, but that is a requirement of your award. Also, one note that I want to add is if you do receive the social media scholarship, there are separate requirements. So for some of those additional apply to awards, there are separate and additional requirements for your post-program.
Great. So now we're going to move on into what are some application tips for students interested in applying for UCEAP scholarships. So on this slide, we have some application tips. So first and foremost, we encourage you to make your personal statement response memorable, be specific about your background and the reasons for going abroad. We are looking for students who have found programs that match their academic and professional development. So tell us why you picked your program and why it fits your goals. Stay away from cliches about travel and other cultures. Although we understand studying abroad is a great opportunity to travel and see the world, especially as alumni ourselves, we completely understand that. However, we want to know more about your reasons for going abroad other than traveling. So emphasize time spent in your host country versus the chance to travel on weekends to other countries. Keep your application responses focused with concise and clear writing, proper grammar, and accurate spelling. If you have a writing center on your campus, we encourage you to make an appointment and get some feedback. Or if you just can't make an appointment, have someone review your application responses. Obviously, it's always great to have another pair of eyes just reading any kind of work you do. And then finally, create a unique response to each prompt. So this is something that we have had to emphasize recently. Scholarship reviewers will be checking student statements for the use of AI, and applications will not be awarded points for AI-generated statements. So what we mean by that is a lot of times it is very obvious when AI is used, whether there are typos in certain formatting that is going on in your response. And additionally, it's just not, again, the point of your responses or your application, these application tips is to be specific. A lot of times AI generated statements are not, they're very general, they're very applicable to all. So again, please make sure that you are taking the time to create thoughtful and specific responses about studying abroad for your application.
Asked if the essay should all be completed in English. Yes, they should. If you want to throw in a couple of words at the beginning, like a quote or something in Spanish to demonstrate that that's the focus of your program, that's up to you. That's creative license. But in general, yes, your essays should all be completed in English.
Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one.
So this next question is, can I combine UCEAP scholarships? So combining funding for our awards can be a little bit complicated. We like to walk you through it here. So our global scholarship, as we mentioned earlier in the presentation, cannot be combined with our named awards. So we were using the Olivia Chan Ship Award as an example. We do not combine these scholarships. The reason we do that is to spread funding as evenly as possible across the student body. So you will be awarded whichever scholarship is of higher value to you. So if you are selected for the Olivia Chanship Award, that is a $2,500 scholarship, you will receive that rather than the global scholarship. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer for donors to come out with their decisions about these scholarships. And so you may have been told you received a global scholarship. We will tell you in the aftermath, hey, actually, you're receiving the scholarship of higher value to replace your global scholarship. Our social media scholarship is independent of our other awards, so you can receive that in addition to other scholarships if you are accepted for both. So let's say you got a global scholarship and a social media scholarship, you would then receive $2,500 of funding. Students who are going abroad for the year can receive one year-long scholarship, as we mentioned earlier. So the Dutton Haver and Chris Borton Memorial Scholarships are independent from one another, and they are separate funding. So you will receive one of the two rather than both. Finally, you can combine our scholarships with campus-based scholarships or external scholarships. So let's say that you are attending UCSB and you apply for a Gaucho scholarship and you are selected for that. You can receive that in tandem with our awards, or let's say you apply for a federal Gilman scholarship, that can also be applied with our awards. So those of you who are going abroad for the year, do apply for your scholarships both semesters that you are abroad. So the year-long scholarship will carry over through the whole year, but you can apply for your global or named awards each term that you are abroad. So just because you receive it in fall does not mean you are guaranteed funding in spring. You must apply again.
Okay, and so now we are going to move on to what are the post-program award options. So here we have two awards listed. We have the UCEAP Internship Awards that are $750 awards, and these awards recognize students who have distinguished themselves while acquiring career training and workplace skills on a study abroad program. Awards are offered semi-annually for internships in all disciplines. And then we also have the Undergraduate Research Awards, and these are $1,000 to $1,500 awards. And these awards recognize undergraduate students who have conducted exceptional research while studying abroad. Awards are offered annually for research projects in all disciplines. If you are interested in learning more about either of these awards, there is a link on this slide. We are also happy if you send us an email to refer you to the same link. It is available on the main UCEAP website. But you can learn more details about specifically these awards. These awards are not managed by our team. And so that is something that if you have specific questions about the awards, the website has a contact email for both of these awards that you can reach out to. And again, we can help direct you in that, or we can help direct you to that person if you need assistance with that. But these are awards, again, that you would apply to after you finish your study abroad program. They are awards that you can keep in mind for when you are studying abroad, if you are hoping to get an internship or do research and potentially apply for that award. But again, you would not submit an application for these until after your UCEAP program. And that is the bulk of our presentation. So we do ask that you submit any questions to the Q&A now. And our email is on this slide at the bottom. It's scholarships@uceap.universityofcalifornia.edu. And if you have any further or just really specific questions about maybe your situation, please don't hesitate to send us an email. Again, if you have any scholarship application technical issues, please send us an email ahead of the scholarship deadline. And yeah, other than that, if you have a question now, please submit it to the Q&A.